Have you used an ultrasonic cleaner for your carburetor for your outboard motor or small engine? Today we're going to go over a quick test that I did with this digital ultrasonic cleaner. I think it's from Harbor Freight. Let's see. But we're going to go over what I did and how it worked, and then we're going to run the motor in a next episode and see what the results were, right? If you remember, this is from a Yamaha 40 horsepower. It's a two-stroke motor. It has 3 carburetors on it, and all I did was just do a quick cleaning. They were really bad, and I did not have an ultrasonic cleaner. This is my first time using it on a motor myself, but we did get the motor running. We wanted to be sure that the motor fired up. We didn't have any knocking noises or anything like that. So today, this has been for 20 minutes. Now, one of the things I've learned with this, and I want to teach you some of the stuff that I've learned as I do this, is that you have to let this fluid get warm first. Right, you warm up the fluid. I don't have the instructions with this. Why? Because I borrowed it from a friend. And of course, he didn't give me any instruction. He'll probably comment here and bust my chops. But I went ahead and just kind of did some experimentation. Didn't really clean very well the first 10 minutes or whatever I put it in there. And then I realized, okay, it's really not warm yet. So what I'm using as fluid in this is I'm using Aussie Juice because it's right from my parts washer. And then I can put it back in my parts washer when I'm done because it has good filtration system in here. And the parts washer for the Aussie Juice, the smart washer system, actually has a heater in it as well. Now this particular parts washer I got off of Facebook Marketplace for 50 bucks, and the heater doesn't work, but it's enough for me to get parts cleaned. Because if I need to go deeper cleaning, then I'm assuming this ultrasonic is where it's going to be. So let's start. We'll pull it out of here. So this is the 40 horsepower. So this one, as you can see, it's steaming a little bit here. Now, first of all, what I'm seeing is, the fluid is coming out of the holes, as I'm kind of draining this out. And it's warm. This sucker is really warm. Now, this part I know comes out of here, and I wasn't able to get it out. So I'm hoping that once I, spray this off here, and I'm going to take some brake cleaner and just spray this off. It definitely looks fabulous, right? It definitely appears to have no dirt or schmutzens or anything left on it. But I want to get the Aussie Juice off because it's kind of a water-based. As a matter of fact, I didn't use 100% Aussie Juice in this. I put maybe a quarter of Aussie Juice and the rest water. That was through some online investigation and what some other people have done in some other YouTube videos. So I'm just going to kind of rinse this off, and then we're going to see how well this works. So I have all my carburetor parts on the bench here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up and reassembling this. I have new carburetor rebuild kits. I'm going to show you how we use those rebuild kits because all the seals and everything. Now when I typically clean carburetors without this, because I haven't ever used them before, all these little grooves, they get corrosion in them where all of our seals lay. There is no corrosion left in there, right? There may be some stains there, but if I get in there with my screwdriver, and we'll see here, let's do the test. I'm holding this here because I'm not sure if this is going to pop out on me or not. But when I scrape, I'm not getting anything off of it. Those are just really stains that are left over. So we're going to go ahead and finish cleaning this up. Now inside of here still looks a little dark. So let me scrape at that and see what, if anything, comes off. Nothing's coming off at all. So that's pretty hard residue that's kind of left over there. I'm not even going to bother taking out the drains. I probably have new seals in the carburetor kits, but I'll give them to whoever buys the motor when it's done. If it gets done and it's worth selling, I'll give them to them and say, listen, if you do drain your carburetors, here's a new seals for them so you have them. But I can look inside, inside here and see. There's maybe a little bit of crustiness here, so I'll go through this real carefully just to make sure there's nothing that didn't get picked up by the ultrasonic cleaner. So, wait a minute, I'm seeing some crustiness in the corners there. Let's see, did it get that? It is coming off a little bit, but that is really hard. So I guess the ultrasonic cleaner, yeah, this is still stuff coming off. So I don't know if you can see, I'll dump some of it out, but we still have some powdery residue in here. And when you run the motor, it's eventually going to break down and end up stuck in the carburetor somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do another thorough cleaning with this by hand as well. So I'm not 100% sold yet on the ultrasonic, but the rest of the carburetor, it looks great on the outside. I don't know how that doesn't really help with the operation of the motor, right? But we'll definitely inspect this a little further and see, and let's see what we find. Not 100% sold that ultrasonic cleaners clean everything. I got some schmutzing still in there. It did do a good job, though, I have to say, and you can kind of put it in there and forget about it while you're doing other things. So moving forward, the next thing we want to test. Now, I did take the flapper, the little check valve out of this side so I can put that back in. This didn't come out of here. I know it should, but I don't want to force it either. I may play with it a little bit to try, but what do I do next? I go to the instructions. Because I don't want to go any further. Because here's what I like to do first, right? There's some tests we can do here. This is right from the manufacturer. Everybody should have access to the manufacturer's information on how stuff works. And ultimately, this primer, right, well, what they're calling it is they're calling a fuel enrichment valve. All right, it's a primer, right? But a lot of primers are solenoids. You hear them click. Sometimes they close the choke. It's like an automatic choke. Others squirt fuel in. Well, this one's a little bit different. So this one, I can take a couple readings. Now, the first thing I notice is that there's supposed to be, when I look at this, a needle. So let's go back here a couple pages, and let's look at here the fuel enrichment valve, right? This is showing you to clean it. This is showing you to look at your needle to make sure it doesn't have that. We're putting new needles in anyway. I got those printed out. So you get the whole manual when you order these on eManual.com. I've used them for a couple years. And then it tells you all the details that you need to know. But listen, pictures tell 1,000 words, right? So there's a needle that's in here. There's an O-ring. The O-ring's okay, but the needle is missing. So did someone lose it when they pulled it apart? Wow, it makes me even more leery when you buy a used motor that someone else has worked on. And it kind of makes me say, hey, did someone else play with that thing? If it's I don't know, then you have to kind of be a little more thorough when you're checking it out. So can I make a needle? I don't know. Maybe I can. Maybe I can rob one from another motor that I have kicking around. But before we go crazy, let's take a look at this thing a little deeper. And the reason I want to look at this thing a little deeper is I looked this up real quick on boats.net. This sucker's $300, right? I'm not spending $300 on this thing. I'll let the motor sit or sell it as a running motor that needs this work or something like that, or I'll keep it as a parts motor and get another one. But, or maybe eBay I could buy these parts, but they're usually not selling just this. You're buying all three carburetors for probably $300. So again, I don't know if we're going to go that far. Am I going to buy something that's, going to have the same problems? But what's cool is we're going to check this first, right? We want to measure the resistance of the 10 ohm or less with our digital tester. So let's see what we have. It also has a nice little assembly procedure here so you know which way. You pull these things all apart. The gaskets are still nice and pliable. The diaphragm actually looks pretty good. I did get a new one just in case because, again, you can see the wear that's on that. So doesn't mean it won't work. But let's check resistance first, right? Pretty simple, basic procedure. We're just going to go ahead and get our meter out. We're going to set it for ohms. And yes, this does take some time, right? But this time that you spend, I had a really, really good mentor, still friends, and he always said, it's always quicker to do it once, right? So let's get this set up. Let me get my vise out of the way so you can see my meter. Oh, I tightened that up really good, didn't I? All right, so we're set up for ohms now, and the instructions say you should be under 10 ohms. So let's see what we have. We have our little bullet connector here. We have this, and let's see what we're getting. And we got 3.47 ohms. So we know that part is okay. Does that mean it's going to work when we turn it on? Who knows? So what I'm going to do is, because the next test here is to connect it to a 12-volt battery and check the height of the valve, right? So that sucker should slowly, now interesting, it says wait for several minutes and check the piston height. So the O-ring is still good on here. I'm not going to pull it out because I can see it's still pliable. I don't want to pull it out and not be able to get it back in. But the other thing I did is after I cleaned this, I put a little bit of stable fogging oil on there just to keep it lubricated, because sometimes the cleaners can dry out the rubber parts. So I'm going to get a paper clip, and I'm going to cut that sucker, or maybe a small nail. Maybe I have one kicking around here, like this. I don't know if that's the right size. Might be. And I'm just going to cut something down, stick it in there, and I'm going to hook this up to 12 volts, and let's see what it does. Okay, so I just cut that nail off. I don't know if it's the right length or not. It doesn't give me those specs for the length. I can kind of guess that this just pushes in and then pushes on that valve and lets the fuel go through. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but I put a little mark with a magic marker on it. I'm going to take it over to my battery now and put a few clips on it, let it sit, and then come back in a couple minutes and see if it goes up. All right, we have failure. So this particular item is no good. It did work. It's actually warm right now. It did heat up. I could probably do an ohms test again and see if we just cooked it. But that needle, I was on there for maybe 5 minutes, and nothing happened at all. Now I don't know if this is able to be removed or not. So now I'm 4.5 ohms, so I'm still under that 10 ohms. So again, that's when you test these things. Just because the ohms test is good doesn't mean it's going to function when the time comes. Now this could be all jammed up inside here, and maybe if I soak it, it'll start to function. So that's what I'll try next. But in the meantime, we got to get this back together and see if we can get this running. This is really just to prime the engine. So I'm also going to assume that this bowl, right, this part here, this needs to be moving. So when I look at this, I didn't see. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board, because I have a feeling this part here is supposed to be in this, and it's stuck inside there. So I'm going to soak this again, and it's going to take a little bit more time. I could just kind of reassemble this and see if we get the motor running okay first, but I'm going to spend a little more time on this. So sometimes you get into these things and you find out, boy, this is a whole lot more, and you can't quit, right? You can't give up on it. It could just be a parts motor with a good block. I could sell it as a good running block that needs parts. Maybe someone has another motor like this. I actually know someone who does, but it's not always a 1, 2, 3 thing. My next step is cleaning this, soaking this a little more, and then maybe warm it up with the torch a little bit and see if we can get this loosened up. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.